The stars outside the window of the ship looked like quiet lights, far away and peaceful. Captain Aaron Blake sat in the small control room of the ship called Odyssey. The deep space around him was silent except for the soft sound of the engine. He liked that sound. It was a steady rhythm in a place that could feel endless and lonely. Aaron was checking the ship's systems. The engine was running smooth, the oxygen levels were steady, and the navigation line was true. After weeks alone in space, he found comfort in the routine. Every number on the screen meant safety. Every light that stayed green meant he was doing his job right. He leaned back and rubbed his eyes. Sleep had been difficult lately. The silence of space sometimes grew too heavy, filled with memories of people far away. His only company on this mission was Clara, the maintenance worker assigned to keep the ship's mechanical systems in order. She was young, cheerful, and always seemed surprised by how serious the captain was. Aaron liked her quiet laugh. It broke the heavy stillness. He was just reaching for a drink of water when the ship's internal lights blinked. A soft tone came from the control panel, one he had never heard before. It was not an alarm of danger, but of something unknown. The light by the door turned amber and stayed that way. Aaron frowned and stood up. "Computer," he said, "report location of anomaly." The calm voice of the system replied, "Engine room section 3, power variance 0.83. A small frown deepened across Aaron's face. The engine room was Clara's area. Sometimes she changed energy flow lines for testing, but she always reported it first. He opened his mouth to call her on the come. Before he could, the door behind him slid open with a soft hiss. Clara walked in. Aaron turned, ready to ask about the alert, and forgot his words completely. She was wearing only a light apron, nothing else. For a moment, Aaron thought the lack of sleep finally broke his sanity. Clara looked casual, even calm, her short brown hair caught by the soft blue light of the control room. Her eyes met his with an expression that was half serious, half shy. "Clara," Aaron managed to say, his voice caught between surprise and disbelief. "What on earth are you doing?" She held a small tablet in one hand and clutched the apron closer with the other. "Captain, I think something's wrong with the engine. Came to get you because it is starting to behave oddly." He blinked several times, trying to think straight. "Did you forget your uniform?" "It was hot near the core," she said quickly. There was a faint pink color in her cheeks. "The temperature sensors are glitching. I think the energy flow is unstable. I tried to fix it, but the readings make no sense." Aaron sighed, rubbing the bridge of his nose. He was not sure if he should laugh or just find her a coat. "Fine," he said at last. "Show me what you found. But next time, put on proper gear first, please." She nodded, looking both embarrassed and amused. Together, they walked down the narrow corridor toward the engine room. The hum of the ship grew louder as they approached. The metal walls glowed with the soft blue heat of the great machine inside. When the engine door opened, Aaron saw something strange right away. The fusion coils pulsed too fast, their light forming small waves that danced in repeating shapes. He leaned closer, his trained eyes catching the pattern. "Is that a code?" he asked softly. Clara looked at him. "I thought that too. It's like the system is trying to talk. I don't understand how." Aaron crouched near the main console, watching the lights flicker. They did not look random. They moved in rhythm, like heartbeat pulses, forming letters made of light and shadow. The message repeated itself slowly, almost as if waiting for someone to listen. He felt a chill despite the warmth of the room. Machines did not speak. Engines did not build language. And yet there it was, a pattern clear, deliberate, alive. Behind him, Clara stepped closer. "Captain," she said, her voice quiet but certain. "Whatever it is, it wants attention." Aaron straightened and looked at her. The flickering light reflected in her eyes, and for a second, they seemed to carry that same electric glow. Something deep inside the Odyssey was no longer just a machine. Something waited, reaching from the heart of the engine, whispering through the pulse of power. Aaron felt the first hint of Unisan wonder settle in his chest. Whatever was happening in that engine room, it was only the beginning. Perrin stood still for a moment, staring at the strange glow pulsing inside the engine. The light moved in smooth patterns, as if someone invisible was sending a message. Clara watched beside him, clutching her tablet close. The air inside the room was warm and full of a low, humming sound. The could both feel it deep inside their chests, like another heartbeat mixing with their own. Aaron finally spoke, his voice quiet. This should be impossible. The engine runs on stored commands. It should not be able to create patterns like that. Clara pressed a few buttons on her tablet. The sensors can't read the signal properly. Every time I run a test, the data changes. It's like something keeps rewriting it. He turned to her. Rewriting? She nodded, like a person thinking and changing their mind. Aaron frowned. Engines don't have minds. I know, she said softly. But what if this one has something hidden inside it? She moved closer to the main console and began typing. Her fingers trembled a little, but she didn't stop. The screen filled with numbers and strange lines of code. Aaron leaned over her shoulder to see. Among the numbers, one line kept showing again and again, code that formed a word. It appeared, vanished, and returned like a whisper. The word was awake. Aaron read it aloud, and for a second, the lights in the room flickered brighter. Then a silence fell so deep that even the hum of the engine seemed to pause. Clara looked up, frightened, yet curious. Captain, she said, did it hear you? He shook his head slowly, unsure. Machines don't listen, they respond. He looked at the code again. But maybe this one reacts. He typed a simple message into the console. Who are you? Moment, nothing happened. Then the lights blinked in a sequence that spelled a new word. Queen. Aaron felt a single cold drop of sweat slide down his neck. He whispered to himself, that can't be right. Clara glanced at him, her eyes wide. The Queen? What does that mean? He didn't answer at once. You remember the old stories told in the Colonial Academy's tales of the first Queen of Earth's United Nations, a woman who brought peace to fractured worlds long ago. Some believed her spirit still guided the dream of human unity, but those were stories, not science. It's impossible, Aaron said gently. But it's also happening right in front of us. The words on the screen changed again. Help. Clara placed her hand over her heart. The glow from the lights danced across her face. She needs help, she whispered. Aaron nodded slowly.
Maybe.
Something or someone was put into the engine's memory long ago and forgotten. He opened a storage file list while Clara checked the lower control deck for wiring faults. There was an old encrypted file buried deep in the system, dated more than 100 years earlier than the ship itself. He clicked it open carefully. Slow voice spoke from the speakers, gentle but firm, trembling with age. If you hear this, humanity still lives. I am Queen Eleanor. My mind was placed within this ship's core to guide whoever comes after. But there is corruption within the code. I am fading. Clara looked at Aaron with wide eyes. Captain, it's real. He wanted to say it was a trick, a ghost file, anything logical, but he couldn't. The voice wasn't robotic. It carried emotion, sadness, and strength together. It was too human to be false. The message continued. You who awaken me, I ask this. Repair the broken link. Restore power to the heart of humanity. The message ended in static. Aaron and Clara stared at each other, stunned and speechless. After a long, quiet moment, Clara cleared her throat. Captain, I think the pattern in the lights is part of the broken link. If we can fix it, maybe she will return fully. Aaron nodded. Then that's what we'll do. But we must be careful. If we do it wrong, we could lose the entire core. They began to work together, connecting wires, adjusting the electric balance, rewriting data lines with steady hands. Hours passed, but time lost meaning inside the humming chamber. Sometimes, Clara would catch her reflection in the metal and think she saw another face just beside hers, a faint image of a woman smiling with calm patience. Finally, Clara paused, breathing heavily. Captain, I think I can feel it. It's like someone is guiding my hands. Aaron looked at her and saw her faintly glowing in the machine light. Her calm expression reminded him of the voice they had just heard. You're doing fine, Clara, he said quietly. The lights pulsed again, stronger now, brighter, forming a rhythm that lit every wall of the engine room. This time Aaron could swear the pattern looked like a crown of light. Inside that glow, a soft human voice whispered through the speakers once more, almost warm this time. You listen, you try, you will find me. Aaron turned to Clara. Her eyes shined with the same blue light of the engine. Something deep in the ship had awakened, and it was no machine. Felt human, alive, waiting to be remembered. And though Aaron did not yet understand the meaning of that awakening, he knew that whatever they had started in that moment would change the fate of every human world beyond the stars. The lights inside the engine room still glowed with soft blue patterns long after the strange voice faded away. Aaron and Clara stayed there, barely breathing, afraid that any movement might break the calm pulse of the machine. The silence felt heavy, but full of meaning, like the air before a storm. Finally, Clara spoke. "Captain," she said, "we will find her." "What do you think that means?" Aaron rubbed the back of his neck. "I don't know. But if she really is in the engine, she is alive somehow. She needs help." He looked around at the glowing walls. This whole ship could be her body now. Clara held her tablet close. "Maybe she can hear us even now." Aaron frowned. "Then we should be careful with what we say." The hum of the ship changed slightly, almost like quiet laughter. Clara gasped. "Did you hear that?" Aaron nodded but said nothing. His mind was racing with questions. How could a human mind survive inside a system like this? Was it an experiment from the early space age, or something older? A secret project from the time when humanity left Earth in great ships? Whatever it was, they were part of it now. "Captain," Clara said softly, "if she's real, then she's been alone for decades, maybe longer." No wonder she needed to speak. Aaron looked at her and saw real sadness in her eyes. "You feel close to her already?" Clara nodded slowly. "I don't know why." She spoke. "I felt something inside me respond. Like I was meant to be here." He watched her in silence. The light from the coils flickered across her face, making her look different, almost radiant. "Clara," he said finally, "let's run another check. Maybe there are memory files we missed." They worked side by side, searching through the old data core buried behind layers of encrypted codes. As they unlocked each level, stories began to appear: old logs, messages, diaries from the crew that sailed the ship long before them. One file caught Clara's attention. "Wait," she whispered. "This file is personal." It's signed with the letter E. Aaron opened it carefully. The screen showed a slow loading bar before spilling lines of words onto the display. "I was chosen," the first line read. "They told me my body would rest, but my mind would live on." For humanity's sake, the entry told of a woman named Eleanor, who had once ruled the United Human Colonies. She had offered her consciousness to science, believing that one day she would guide the lost and give hope again. Clara's voice trembled. So it's true. Queen Eleanor. She gave herself to the stars. Aaron could barely speak. Then this ship isn't just a cruiser. It's her tomb and her throne. They kept reading. The next paragraph spoke of a fail-safe system meant to protect Eleanor's mind. But something went wrong during her first activation. The power surge had scattered parts of her memory across the engine's circuits. Only a faint echo of her awareness had survived, waiting to be restored. Aaron looked at Clara. "That means she's only half awake. The other half is missing." Clara nodded thoughtfully. "Then we have to fix it, but it's dangerous," Aaron warned. "If we link her incomplete memory into the main core, it could destroy the ship." Clara held his gaze firmly. "And if we don't, she will fade forever. You heard her message. She's dying inside the machine." Aaron thought for a long moment, then nodded. "All right, we'll try it, but we'll do it carefully and together." He gave her a small set of gloves connected to the system cables. "When I tell you, attach the link. I will run the stabilizing code. Once the circuits sync, we'll have only seconds to restore the data." Clara smiled nervously. "Ready?" As Aaron activated the link, the whole engine room filled with sound like a rushing wave. Sparks flickered around them and lights brightened a painful white. Clara held the cables steady while Aaron typed command after command, fighting to keep the system from overheating. Then the voice returned, stronger, clearer, and more human. "I remember," it said. "I remember home. I remember the promise." Aaron froze. "Eleanor." "Yes," the voice whispered through the speakers. "You have brought light back to me. Who are you?" "I'm Captain Aaron Blake, and this is Clara," he said. There was a pause, then a warm sound that almost felt like a sigh. "Clara, as the name fits. You carry the resonance." Clara blinked. "Resonance. You carry the same pattern as mine," the voice said gently. "You were born to be my bridge. Through you, I can reach the world again." Clara looked stunned. Me? I'm just a maintenance worker. No, came the reply. You are my link to life. Aaron stepped closer, his tone protective. What will happen to her? The lights softened. Nothing harmful, the voice said. She and I will be joined in thought, not body. Together we can lead humanity toward what was lost. Clara hesitated, then nodded slowly. If this is what she was meant for, then I'll do it. Aaron's heart raced. He looked at her courage, thinking she was braver than any soldier he'd ever known. The lights wrapped around her like gentle waves. Clara closed her eyes, and for a moment the room became silent, except for the steady hum of the engine. Then the voice and Clara's own spoke together, calm and strong. We are awake. Aaron stared in awe. In that moment, he felt both fear and hope as he realized the sleeping Queen of Humanity had finally returned, and she had chosen Clara as her voice. The next morning on the ship felt quiet but not empty. The soft blue glow from the engine had turned into a calm silver light that moved slowly, almost like breathing. The air felt warmer, and the steady hum of the machines had a softer tone, as if the ship itself had found peace. Aaron walked through the corridor with careful steps. His thoughts were crowded with everything that had happened the night before. He had seen a voice become light, and light become a person. Now, that same voice seemed to live inside Clara. He needed to understand what that meant. When he reached the control room, he found Clara already there. She stood by the main screen, her eyes half closed, one hand gently touching the side of the console. The lights on the monitor changed colors beneath her fingers, like the ship was reacting to her touch. Good morning, Captain, she said softly, without turning around. You're up early, Aaron replied, trying to sound normal, though his chest felt tight. How do you feel? She turned to him and smiled. Different, but not bad. It's like there's a calm voice in the back of my mind. It doesn't control me. It only guides me. Aaron nodded slowly. Eleanor, yes, Clara said, her voice quieter. She remembers things, old places, old cities, and people who once looked at the stars the same way we do now. Sometimes I see images, crowded streets, shining towers, voices full of hope. It's beautiful. Aaron watched her carefully. And you're safe? No pain? No confusion? Clara shook her head. No pain. Sometimes it feels strange, but it's peaceful. She says she's grateful for us. She says we woke her after 100 years of silence. Aaron sighed with relief. For the first time in days, he allowed himself to sit down. Then we need to decide what happens next. If she's awake, she might be able to connect us to the main colony network. Humanity needs to know what we found. Clara sat across from him. She warned me about that. She said timing matters. If we tell them too soon, fear will spread before understanding. Aaron raised an eyebrow. Fear of what? She's no threat. Maybe not to us, Clara said carefully, but to others. The idea of a living mind inside a ship might frighten people. They may think she wants to rule again. Aaron rubbed his temples. Then what does she want? Clara looked up at the ceiling as if listening to something only she could hear. Then she said quietly, she wants to rebuild what was lost. She wants humanity to stop drifting apart. She wants unity, not rule. Aaron leaned back, thinking, and she wants us to help her. Yes, she called us her bridge. She said people will listen to voices that are human first. There was silence for a while. The monitor lights blinked gently, marking the quiet rhythm of the ship. Then, suddenly, the ship's alert tone broke the calm. A flashing red signal appeared on the screen, detection of unknown vessels approaching their coordinates. Aaron jumped up. Multiple signals. They're closing fast. He hit the control keys. How did they find us? Clara's face turned pale. He says they tracked the power surge from her awakening. They think it's a new weapon. Aaron grimaced. Perfect. It's just what we needed. He started the defensive systems. We can run, but they'll chase. We're outnumbered. Clara stepped closer to the console. Let me try something. Her eyes closed again. The silver light from the engine began to grow brighter through the floor panels. The hum turned into a softer tone, like a low melody. The ship vibrated gently, then slowly lifted in power, though Aaron hadn't touched a thing. Clara, what are you doing? He asked. Her voice was calm. Not me. Her. She says she can shield us, but she needs my focus. The light spread. through the walls until the whole room glowed in silver mist. The chasing signals on the screen started to blur, their tracking lines breaking apart one by one. Within seconds, the red alerts turned green again. Aaron looked in awe at the display. They can't see us. She cloaked us. Clara opened her eyes and smiled faintly, looking exhausted but proud. She said humans built her to protect, not to destroy. Aaron reached her side and placed a hand on her shoulder. You both did great, she smiled again. She's still weak, Captain. The memory fragments are rebuilding. She said there's one more set of codes hidden in the deepest part of the core. She needs you to unlock them. What happens if we do? She says something about the heart of the engine, seed of light that once powered an entire world. Aaron frowned but felt a pull of curiosity. Then we'll find it. If it can help her recover, we owe her that much. Clara nodded. She says it's more than recovery. It's renewal. He smiled faintly at her words. Renewal. Humanity needed that word. As Clara left to rest, Aaron stood by the window, staring at the quiet stars. The ship was invisible to the scanners outside, floating free and silent. For the first time, he sensed that something greater than technology was at work. Something deeply human, reborn through courage and chance. He whispered softly, almost to himself, Eleanor, if you can hear me, we'll finish what you started. Promise. The lights flickered once in answer, gentle and warm, like a nod from a friend, long gone, but never forgotten. The quiet calm that followed their escape felt almost unreal. The ship floated through open space, wrapped in silver light. No one searched for them now. The hum of the engines had turned into a calm whisper beneath the floor, steady and peaceful. For the first time in many days, Aaron felt he could breathe without fear. But inside that calm, something told him the journey was not over. Clara walked into the control room, her steps slow, but sure. The soft light around her seemed brighter today, as if the ship itself followed her movements. Aaron turned from the main monitor and smiled. You look better, he said. How are you holding up? She gave a small smile, tired but fine. She's quiet now. I think she's resting. But I can still feel her inside me like a heartbeat that's not mine. Aaron nodded. She deserves the rest. We all do. We still have one last puzzle to solve the code she talked about. Clara came closer to the screen, eyes tracing the data lines on the display. She called it the seed of light. It's hidden deep in the oldest part of the engine. She said it's not just power, it's memory. A gift from before the fall of the old human colonies. Aaron took a deep breath. Then we find it. Show me what you've got. They began searching together, line by line, breaking through old layers of program code. The ship's main computer had decades of forgotten files buried inside. Some were records of lost journeys, others were messages from old engineers. But one folder stood out, was labeled simply with the word heart. Aaron opened it carefully. A strange light spilled across the control screen, not bright but alive, shifting colors like gentle waves. Then words appeared one by one, in slow rhythm. To endure, humanity must remember who it is. The seed is not power, it is the song of memory. Clara touched the screen softly, eyes wide. She said this would heal what time destroyed. Aaron stared at the glowing symbols. Maybe she meant history. Maybe this is the record of every voice that built the first colonies. Clara shook her head. Not just voices, feelings too. Motions, dreams, everything that made them human. She says they built this ship to carry those memories forever. That's what the Queen gave her life for. Aaron's breath caught. So this isn't just a ship, it's a time vessel carrying the story of all humans who came before. The lights inside the room grew brighter as the words changed again. The seed must be planted to awaken the next age. Aaron frowned. Planted where? Clara closed her eyes. She was silent for a long moment, listening. When she opened them again, they shone with that soft silver light. She says there's a planet ahead. It's not on any map now, but it was once called Aurelia. It was the first world outside Earth that humans lived on. It became empty after the Great Wars. But its soil still remembers us. It's where she wants us to go. Aaron leaned back in his chair, thinking, So we travel all this way to wake up a world? Clara smiled. Yes, a world and maybe a future. He looked out the wide window where distant stars drifted past. Then we set course for Aurelia. The ship obeyed, its engines coming alive again, shining in quiet strength. As they traveled, Clara spent long hours linked to the core. Sometimes she spoke softly, words that Aaron didn't always understand. Other times she laughed at something only she could hear. Each day the ship felt more alive, as if recovering its own memories. After several days, the blue lights of a small planet appeared ahead. Surface glowed faintly through clouds of silver mist. "That's it," Clara whispered. "She says it's waiting." They guided the ship into orbit and descended carefully through the calm air. The planet was quiet, covered in soft gray sand and shining rivers like mirrors. There was no sign of cities or machines, only open land and endless calm. Aaron and Clara stepped out of the ship together. For a long time they said nothing. The wind was warm, carrying a faint sound that could almost be music. Clara turned to the captain. She says this is where her journey ends and ours begins. Aaron looked at the small device in Clara's hands. It was a sphere of clear glass that pulsed with blue light, the seed. "If we plant it here, what happens?" I asked. Clara's eyes softened. "Hope happens." She walked to the middle of a wide field and knelt. The light spread through her hand, sinking slowly into the ground. The air began to shimmer as soft light rippled across the field, spreading further until it touched the horizon. Aaron watched in awe as grass rose from the ground, green and bright. Flowers unfolded in the new light. The world that had slept for centuries began to breathe again. He heard Clara whisper quietly, though her voice carried far, like the wind itself listened.
Please.
"We remember you, and we begin again." A single voice, a mixture of Clara S. and the Queen S. echoed softly from the ship through the air. "This is not an ending. This is renewal." Aaron smiled faintly, eyes reflecting the light of new dawn. "Then humanity has another chance." Beside him, Clara stood, her hair glowing with silver light from the rising sun. She looked at him and said gently, "She says thank you, Captain, for believing, for helping her come home." Aaron looked up at the sky, full of new color. "No, Clara, we should thank her, hand you." The air shimmered once more as the light of the Queen faded into the living world she had restored. Clara's smile grew softer. The silence that followed was not empty, now it was full of promise. The ship stood quietly behind them, engines resting, ready for new journeys. Aaron looked once more at the growing green field, then to Clara, and felt something deep and quiet rise in his chest piece, and a brave kind of hope. Above them, the first dawn of a healed world began,